let's get talking with Dr. Kaide Fayemi. He suddenly become Ifamefun, the popular Ogumefun. In Yoruba, Ogumefun, someone who has become a teacher and he's gone back to the classroom, one of his lost love. Dr. Kaide Fayemi is a former governor of Ekiti State and former minister. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you, Sean, for finally managing to drag me to Politics Today.
After a lot of dragging, actually. Thank you so much indeed. How is the King's College? I know you are now a visiting professor there.
Oh, it's a fantastic experience. There's no better work to do than to mentor younger and future leaders and provide them with the necessary tools that they will find very relevant in leadership.
Interesting. So you and your wife today, you were out in the eye of the public, and you on one hand launching a new idea to the public, a new book, If This Giant Must Rise, and Mrs. Fayemi also launching a new initiative. But what prompted the writing of this book?
Thank you, Sean. I write pretty much all the time.
Writing is your life, actually, isn't
This
it?
is not my first outing, but I decided that towards my 60th birthday, one thing I would love to do was to put together a range of lectures and accounts that I have given in the last 2 years. So this is a compilation, if you like, essays and articles and keynote addresses that I've given in the past 2 years since I left office, reflecting on my time in office and thinking through what the future portends. So that's really what informed what I put out there today.
As a former journalist, of course, writing is not alien to you. But each time you left office, you've written. And the last one was quite not a very, will you say palatable, because as you felt at the time, you said, if this truly is the will of the people, am I right?
Yeah.
That's the book. And I read and saw how your mind was. And you were very notable for being someone who considered defeat, although you didn't agree to how you were defeated at the time. But in this particular book, and I'm seeing a few chapters that are a bit controversial, albeit some of your comments have been seen and diagnosed or analyzed in different perspectives. But what would you say is of a critical, should have a critical attention to the Nigerian public?
Well, the chapter If the Giant Must Rise is actually, the title of the book is A Chapter in the Book.
So you use a chapter in the book
as the title of the book. And that chapter actually focuses on the prospect for a new Nigeria. What I think we have to do, right? Nation building is a continuing process, but there are steps that are necessary in order for us to get to where we will find comfortable as a nation. Because Nigeria, yes, you may argue, is a relatively young country. If you go by its flag independence, roughly my age, a little older. But the trajectory that Nigeria has traveled has been more underwhelming than optimistic. And that is what informed that particular chapter, where I highlighted that journey and also dispelled some of the things that have been responsible for our arrested development. Some would say Nigeria is the mistake of 1914. Some would tell you that because we're of different ethnicities, we're not likely to make a headway. Some would argue that democracy is not the pathway to progress. Some would say we need a benevolent dictator. There's a whole range of excuses, what I call excuses, for doing what is right. No nation is formed from birth, lock, stock, and barrel, a perfect nation. even the one that we refer to in most cases as the mature democracy, let's just ignore what is going on there now in the world of America first. That nation still talk about being in search of a perfect future. So, if no nation is perfect from its provenance, and every nation has to continue to improve on that growth, then what is it that we need as a country to make the necessary progress? And I highlighted a number of things: why leadership is important, why planning is central, why there's a whole world of difference between running for office and running the office.
And you, I mean, it's one will sound like a crack record right now, and it's no longer a debate whether or not leadership is a major problem in this climb. On the continent, there are a very popular award being given on leadership. There were about 2 years or so that there were no recipient because there is a dearth of leadership on the continent and in Nigeria. And you wonder, what are some people doing in leadership? And there are sometimes people will say that the worst of us leading the rest of us. When you find the caliber and some characters in government, and you wonder, what are these folks doing right there? How do we fix this leadership problem? The leadership recruitment process is a major nexus that we need to find a solution around. But where do we start from? You've been there, you've done that, all that.
You begin from the beginning. Yes, the leadership succession recruitment program may be a challenge, but the reality again is that, I mean, leaders are not necessarily born. Leaders can be made. Leaders can be mentored. And I believe in our own setting, we put a lot of weight on the leader, not on leadership. Leadership is a teamwork. It's not a solo effort. But leadership also must embody processes, procedures, and values. You can teach all of those. Not necessarily in a codified manner, but people can learn through examples and by examples. And you can structure that engagement. Part of what Amandla Institute talks about is that leadership matters, but leadership in and of itself may matter, but it's not adequate if it is not synergized with policy frameworks that can then change the stories of our society and our countries. And that's precisely the point that President Mbeki made this morning when he said that, look, it's not about vision. We have visions, Agenda 2063, Africa Action Plan, Sustainable Development Goals. We know what is right. We know what we want to do. Why aren't we implementing? And the Vice President also... The intentionality.
People of good character always run for public office. Why?
Well, it's a combination. I came from an activist background. And you could say that I've always been concerned about my environment, which then led me to ask questions, to challenge authority, to ask for accountability, and then got involved in student unionism, got involved in pro-democracy, campaign against military dictatorship, and on and on and on, until I got into politics. But I really didn't get into politics directly like that. I was invited. I was probably one of the few people who got invited to come and run for public office at the highest level. My mentor and leader, Governor Ni Adebayo, literally dragged me, kicking and fighting, to come and share with the people those insights and benefits that he felt I could offer. I too was very afraid of it. The same thing you accuse those you consider to be good in running away from public office. But you can't change society if good people are not part of the driving force of change.
Did you regret going into politics?
Not at all.
Is there something that you wish that you did while you were in public office that, with the benefit of hindsight, that you think, Kayode, I probably would have done this?
Oh, there are quite a number of things that I would have loved to do. I always say to people that in the choice of my successor, I said to the people that I would like to support someone who combines my own passion for rigor in academy with street credibility. I was not that much out on the street. I was the 24-hour focused on getting results governor. And in my successor, Governor Ibanji, you can see that he's managed to balance those things out. He's doing well, committed to those issues that are germane to the development of our state, and he still manages to connect very well with various strata of our society. And you could argue that even if I didn't succeed in all the things that I wanted to do when I was in office, I probably got that right, and he's delivering on that task. But he probably wouldn't have been able to do it if he didn't have somebody holding his hand and driving him through. So mentorship is very critical to leadership development. And you cannot ignore it. People pejoratively sometimes refer to it in Nigeria as godfatherism.
Are you a godfather to
obviously, I'm not. I'm not a godfather. Only God is the father that we all have.
but you've said it that it's been described as godfatherism.
No,
but in the real sense,
in the real sense, it's mentoring. It's mentoring. There's nothing wrong with that.
Is the likes of
I was mentored by Governor Adebayo.
Is Bola Tinubu one of your mentors?
Oh, clearly, but and I have worked together for the better part of the last 3 or more decades. We were in the trenches together. We fought from exile together. He supported my quest for leadership in Ekiti State, and we've remained in the same corner progressively, in the same political party. So clearly, yes, I have several mentors like him.
I mean, why is it that at some point you looked like you were not going to support Biodun Yebanji for second term?
You know that in politics, speculation is the name of the game.
No, but at the church event,
and
you made a statement that got a lot of people worried.
Well, I was very clear about my statement that it was too early for people to start talking about succession and second term. It still needed to do more work and stop from being distracted from focusing on the delivery of public goods to Ekiti people. Anyone who has an inkling of my own thought process would know that there's no reason why I wouldn't support him. But I've always insisted that...
So you're on his side?
Of course. I told party people in December that left to me and my family, I'm on Biodun Abayomi-Oyebanji's side. And I think that should count for something, because I have quite a lot of supporters in the APC. But I also said that that should not be confused with the process, the party process, which allows every legitimate, ambitious person who wants to run for office to run. It's not a statement to debar others from running for that office.
Let me ask you this, and frankly speaking, you have been very blunt in public fora about the state of affairs of the country. And you said something here, going through I was very, very much interested in that chapter. Chapter 4 of this book, you said, moving from an election machine to an organic party.
Yeah.
It does look, the way you describe and the vision of the founding fathers of the APC it's quite different from what is obtainable now. Do you, for a moment, because you stated it in this book, how a lot of you felt that this party would be, but it's clearly not living the dreams of the founding fathers.
So that chapter to which you referred was actually a speech I delivered to party people. The Southwest Assembly of the APC convened sometimes in October last year, and I was asked to give the keynote address. I don't know how the party arrived at that decision, but they felt I should come and give the keynote address. And all our leaders from the Southwest were there. Chibise Akonde, Papa Olusi, Governor Segun Oshoba, all our governors, Governor Adebayo, all the political leaders, they were all present, almost 1,000 of them at that session. And I was very candid with my views that this was not the way we envisioned this party. This was supposed to be the quintessential social democratic party, progressive in its ideas, in response to the trickle-down economics that got us into the mess that PDP threw us in this country. And we ought to be doing things differently. And I talked about us ensuring that the party remains a party that drives the government rather than the tail wagging the dog. We have been in office now for 2 years almost. We've won elections since March 1st, 2023. And our party national executive committee has not met once. The constitution of our party is very clear that that body of the party, that organ of the party, meets at least once every quarter. When Chief Bisi Akonde was the chairman of this party, when Chief John Oyegun was the chairman of this party, in fact, under Chief Bisi Akonde in ACN and in the interim APC, we met monthly. Monthly, the caucus and the NEC. When Chief Oyegun was there, we met at least every quarter. So why is it that we aren't meeting? I don't take the excuse that because the president is unavailable, he's busy. The president would always be busy. This is the party. The president can delegate.
It looks like the party machinery is asleep.
Well, I wouldn't quite put it that way.
But I imagine that.
But what I said in
there's even a PhD lawyer in as a national secretary, and I've said it to the party. Interestingly, it's coming from a party chieftain as you, and I've quoted the portion of the party's constitution that states that there must be minimum of 4 NEC meetings in a year, and the party in 2 years has not done that. That is a breach of the party's constitution, which is making the party live an illegal life.
But that's not even the only concern that I expressed about inorganic nature of our party. I also said that, it's time we have a party school, and the party has done something about that. There is a progressive institute that has now been established under the auspices of our current chairman, Governor Ganduje, and kudos to him for that. But what has that progressive institute done to date? There should be a calendar of programs, as party schools always do. Many people would recall with fondness what used to happen at the Winneba Ideological Institute, established by President Kwame Nkrumah. Many will still remember what happens in the ANC school, which is run by my good friend David Makura now. So we have examples all over the world that we can point to. And our party should be actively involved in the review of what our government is doing so that it matches the manifesto we espouse to the Nigerian public.
So the party is just looking like an election winning machinery.
Oh, because at every election, that's why I said election winning machine. Because at every point, I think it's an Ambra nest. We'll quickly gather some people together, put them on a committee, a presidential campaign committee or a gubernatorial campaign committee, and then put them on the field, and then blimey.
The party is not doing anything wrong. You know why? Because you have just only stolen the template of the PDP and any other political party that has been in prominence in this country, at least in the last 30 years. Because that is the idea: win an election, run with it, take power, grab the power, and run with it without really conscientizing on the concept of the average person in the society.
That's not what we promised.
No. Your party.
That's not what we promised, Nigerian. We promised change, but I thought you brought me here to actually
speak
about Africa, not about my party.
No, but like I said,
my institute is going to focus more.
Yeah, but
Nigeria is a big part of
absolutely.
Africa.
Where Nigeria goes, the rest of Africa goes. But the big question here, Dr. Fayemi, a lot of young people will be watching tonight. Are watching, and they're looking, and you sounded Dr. Fayemi, 60. Where are you running to? Come on.
Well,
It feels like yesterday, and some of us don't think that we don't want it to get old. In this, I mean, get old in that sense. We just want the cow they fire me, the young cow they fire me, the vibrant cow they fire me, the academic cow they fire me. And there are a lot of young people who are watching you tonight who are scared of leaving what they are doing right now, who are doing well in the private sector, doing well for themselves. Some of them are out of the country and are too scared. They want to make impact in the public life, but they do not see the politics and the way it's being run as something viable and something they want to get themselves into. Would you advise any young Nigerian to get into politics in my manner? You people and your friends are running it.
Absolutely. Politics offers the best chance of transformational ideas in any space. I mean, young people, old people can make a difference in whatever they choose to do. The teaching profession, in innovation and creativity in the IT sector, engineering, you can do all that. But one single policy by a politician can destroy everything that you've done. I mean, we see what is happening. I mean, with the greatest respect to the popular majority in America, we see what is going on in that country now. And I believe that we need people who are nurtured, who are provided with the tools and with the acumen to operate on a larger scale. Because in politics, I mean, I used to be an activist, and I still am an activist. We were at the barricades. We promoted and fought for democracy. I ran an underground radio. But what I was able to do in Ekiti affected more lives. In one fell swoop, signing the Social Security benefit system for the elderly people, our Owarugbo, or signing off on the free education program for multitudes of children. And I've met many of those in higher education, in professional life outside. They're doing well for themselves, for their family. But we all need to do well for this society in order to sustain whatever benefit has come to our family. And I believe that politics offers us the best opportunity to be of service to humanity.
There are some things that a lot of people believe that you and some of your friends in the then ACN going into the APC, and you said it, to you, and a lot of people are still making comments about what you said, about what you did to get Jonathan out of power. Indeed, looking back, is there an apology to be made to the Nigerian people?
Oh, clearly, we all have reason. We must apologize to the Nigerian people. We have not succeeded in achieving everything we promised to Nigerian people. And that's not just because we were incompetent, but because there were other structural impediments that have made things more difficult for us. But clearly, we haven't done enough to make life abundant for the Nigerian people. And for that, I clearly would not hesitate to apologize to the Nigerian people for that. We can do a lot more.
It's a clear failure of the political class.
An apology, well, it may give a feel-good factor, but feel-good vibes or feelings, but that's not really what we need. We need to get our act together, all of us who consider ourselves leaders in that space, because if we don't, the risk we run is higher than the returns we're going to get. And for me, I have been extraordinarily fortunate, I must admit. I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I was brought up by the Enauros, the Hajashis, the Wole Soyinkas of this world. They were the ones who lifted me up as a young man when I started on this journey. And I have a duty, which is why my wife and I have decided to set up a man line and say, I have a duty to the youth of Africa to find a way to enable them to become better actors than I have been.
On the final note, Dr. Fayemi, and tonight, I know that you are a good friend to President Bola Tinubu. Let's call it
my elder brother. It's not, if you describe
friendship,
in Yoruba land,
you are my elder brother, but you're a friend.
Okay, I am. But
but the question here is that let's call it spade a spade. We're on the national stage. Millions of people are watching tonight. some things are not going right in this country. If you are to speak truth to power, what do you think this government needs to do right by Nigerians?
I think it's a misnomer to always talk about speaking truth to power. Power knows the truth.
Really?
Yes.
Why is it that power does not hack the truth?
Because sometimes there are many mediating factors. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done many good things. We all must acknowledge that. He's been bold to take on some of the most difficult decisions that previous leaders have been reluctant to take on. The fallout of those decisions have caused us huge cost of living crisis. And you know what I'm talking about. Fuel subsidy removal, convergence of the foreign currency, FX window. However, is well-meaning. But well-meaning is not enough in leadership. Intentionality is critical to success. And it's done. Whether you could talk about student loan or you talk about the several efforts around resisting insurgency, taming insecurity, tax policy reforms, increased revenue into the federal coffers. Clearly, some of those elements are there, but they need to come together. And this is where effective policy frameworks go side by side with leadership acumen in order to get a change of narrative to the story. Maybe that's the area where we need to do a lot more.
Dr. Kayode Fayemi, permit me to say a friend, and of course a former governor of Ekiti State, now has become Ogumefun. Back to the classroom. Thank you so much, and congratulations on yet giving back to the society this lovely piece of write-up. Thank you so much indeed for your time, and my regards to Orelu. Thank you so much indeed. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me on your show.